everyone. Thursday night, 9 o'clock. It's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Well, good of you to join us on this Thursday night. We, of course, have an action-packed weekend of rugby. Looking forward to it. I've got some nice, strong fancies, and I'm sure the panel have too, so we'll get straight into it. And let's welcome at the top of the screen, fresh from doing his rugby show, it's Couch critic, Hein de Mont. Couch, good to have you back on the program.
How's it, Brent? Thanks, man. Yeah, always good to be here. I'm glad you got some strong fancies because I'm finding it tough this week.
Yeah, I do. And look, a man in form joins us as well. And looks at something's a bit different there. Looks like he found the razor in the last week or so. He's looking a lot smoother. Chris, welcome to the show.
Yeah, how's it, Brent? How's it going? How's it, Hein? Good to be here. Yeah, good.
Excellent. Well, first of all, well done on some great calls last week, Chris. You were in cracking form. Yeah. So nothing like following that up 2 weeks in a row. I'm sure you're looking forward to.
I'm sweating, yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for this. Thank you very much. But yeah, looking forward to also some games that are good on the eye. So yeah, looking forward to discussing it.
Good. Well, we'll get straight into it. We've got plenty to go, and welcome to all the boys in the live chat. Look forward to your comments during the show as well. We will be using Bet Olim's odds, although usual rules apply. If you've got anything you find, wherever you find it, you're welcome to mention it as well. And let's get straight into the games. We'll start off, I think, with a bit of Super Rugby. Let's start off with Super Rugby Aotearoa. I'm going to scroll the outright odds there at the bottom. I'm not going to focus too much on that. I think most of us assume the Crusaders are going to win it. But Couch, I'll start off with you. Highlanders -3.5 against the Hurricanes. I did see some 4.5 available when I did the Good for the Game preview. And I must tell you, first of all, I'll come in first and tell you my initial instinct was Highlanders. And then I saw the team sheets, and I just can't pull myself off the Hurricanes now. What are your thoughts there, Couch?
Yeah, that's why I said I'm glad you've got some strong fancies, because to me the cap doesn't sway me either way. I think you probably got to have a little bit of a go on the value there, and that's maybe even the Hurricanes to pip them at the post. I was saying I was going to oppose the Hurricanes pre-season, but last week they actually found their attacking rhythm, which was good. They looked solid. Rayasi was alive and kicking there with ball in hand. So clearly, they're not the complete package, but they look lively on attack, and Dane Cole's back in the system there, and the Islanders missing one or two guys. They've got Dylan Hunt back at 10, which isn't my favorite fancy, and they've got a few new guys in there. So to me, it's definitely I'm leaning Hurricanes on this one, but yeah, I'll share some of the other bets with you in a few.
Right, let's get Chris's comments first on this game, and we'll come back to Hein for his exotic plays. Chris, anything on this game for you?
So I'm sharing most of Hein's sentiments there. And when I first looked at the markets, I was on the Hurricane side straight away, to be honest. Like Hein said, they showed their true form last week, and I think if they bring that tomorrow, they're going to be in for a good shout. I mean, Rayasi's class. A few of us were on him to score a try. He got a few in the end. He's brilliant. I think when you got old Jordan Barrett floating around the back there in space, he's always going to get a chance to score, and he's certainly a clever player. So I think, and then they lost the game, and then of course the Chiefs. I think for me, it's typical Canes. They fell asleep. I think they rested on their laurels there. So I think the second half was a bit of a false negative in my opinion. I think they need a win. They desperately need that win. I think they can come with that motivation. And I think when I saw the +5, I was all over. I had a +5 in my bookie. So yeah, on the Hurricanes for this one. However, I'm not going to take I'm not fancying the +5. I actually quite like the points. The points markets, I think I prefer to take Canes over 25 points in this game. And I quite like the try bet again of either team within 7 at 3.0. I think you guys can get in South Africa. I think that's a very good, strong play again, for sure. I think it's going to be close either way. Either team wins it within 5. So that will be my stronger play, the Canes on the points, and that's either team within 7.
Well, talking of the points, we'll lead back into Couch critically. I've got the total points line at 55.5. Couch, I must tell you that I struggle to go unders in New Zealand derbies because they play such exciting rugby, and we know the conditions are going to be perfect. This is played under the roof in Dunedin. But I just feel, and I see Chiefy mentioning on the Good for the Game forum there, that this could be a bit of an unders ref. And I just feel that as exciting as these New Zealand sides play, they often cancel each other out for periods of the game. And I wonder if we aren't going to have that here. If I had a gun to my head, I would be looking at under 55.5 here. Any thoughts on the points lines and other bets on this one?
Yeah, Brent, that's a little bit of a concern because I'm with Chris on this one. I think overs on the Hurricanes, maybe overs on Hurricane tries. I think they're at this stage in the competition where it isn't about win at all cost and muscling out a victory. They just want to go out there and express themselves and play decent rugby, and they should be able to play it against the Highlanders team that aren't the best out there, and it's under the roof. So there's no excuse. But as you say, then you could sit on your hands and do that whole first half, second half kind of thing. Maybe they start fast and then fall asleep in the second half. Then you can take unders in running if that's the way you want to go, or a slow start and then some fireworks later. But to me, I think if you're going to get involved in the points in any way, then to me it's Hurricanes overs. I agree with Chris on that one. I like them to fire this weekend. And then just on some exotics I have with Bet Olymp. Obviously, Dane Coles is back, and I can't not get involved there. So it's 7-1 for him to be the first try scorer for Hurricanes. I'm not so sure they score the first try of the game, so I'm rather just going to cover myself there. And 7-1, he's going to be the first try scorer for the Canes. And then Freedom is getting a start for the Highlanders, and I've got to back the man, even if it's just on the name itself. He's going to have some freedom out there on the wing. So it's him to score the first try, but the Canes to come back and win the game, and that you can get 25-1. So that's just a nice little, just a little flinger in there. And then I think I've got involved with Ardie Savea. He's been, I wouldn't say he's been quiet, but he's been quiet on the try scoring front, and I've backed him in I think a couple of times thus far, and I'm not going to sit out this time and miss out. So he's 25-1 to score the last try. As I said, I think the Hurricanes will probably finish strong this time and not take their foot off the gas. And 25-1 on Ardie Savea. He likes scoring in Dunedin as well. So those are my plays, Brent.
Excellent, good ones. Well, I'm going to bring Chris in now for the start.
Sorry, Chris. I've just and the other one is I'm going back to the well again and adding Rayasi to score anytime. You can pretty much get even money.
Yeah. So I also just a quick one. Nareki for the Highlanders. Some of the guys I mentioned, he might not be starting tomorrow, and he's a huge player for the Highlanders. I love Nareki, so I think if you see him out of the starting lineup tomorrow, again, get even more confident on the Canes. So watch out for that as well. I think he would also get on the score sheet himself because, if the Canes come with attitude, they're scoring, but they're going to give away tries as well. So I think, that's how it should go.
Chris, take us into the next game. Chiefs plus 5.5 here against the Blues. I'll say my verdict here till the end, other than to say it's another game where I've changed my mind a couple of times.
Yeah, the game we just spoke about is my more confident game out of these two games, to be honest. For me, this game it probably also going to be close. It could be anything, but I straight away like the Chiefs on the plus. Chiefs at home. I know we want. I do like the Blues team. I like some of the players in there. I want them to fire, but I don't trust them. I think Chiefs can take a lot of momentum out of last week, and they can take it home. These games, I think, normally are tighter than you would think they will, and less points. And I think that will going to be the same case. But I like the Chiefs plus 5.5. Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win the game.
Couch yourself on this one.
Yeah, that's got me worried a bit. I wouldn't say I'm extremely confident on the Blues. I'm not, that handicap has just got me worried. The Blues are the kind of team who'd be 10 clear and they'll just let in a try there at the end. So to me, I was just throwing the Blues win into a few multis. So if Chris's Chiefs arrive there, I'm in trouble. So I'm hoping for the Blues to just get the job done in the end there in terms of the handicap. And then it's boring plays for me. It's almost the same thought as with Ardie Savea. Akira Ioane's been busy, he's been involved, and he just hasn't gotten over the chalk. But I'm going to take Akira to score the first try there. I mean, that's it's got to come off. He's been good to me over the years. So first try scorer at 16-1, and then Tom Robinson. I'm going to have to back the redhead there to come off the bench and have an impact. I think it's about 28-1 for him to score the last try. So hopefully the Blues finish strong and get the job done. I think they'll be disappointed about last week. They were touted to have a real shot at upsetting the Crusaders. They were pretty much, a little bit of a dud there. They never really pushed them all the way to challenge for the win. And hopefully Leon McDonald's got them up this week to say, listen, you still got to go out there and show that you are comfortably the second best team in New Zealand. So if you're going to go somewhere, maybe I'll lean Blues minus, but it's Blues victory just to go into a few multis and then some of those exotics. Print.
Excellent. Well, just looking at some of the boys in the live chat, T. Kawenga saying Blues minus, Emil joining him on the -5.5, and Brendan Vessel saying Dalton Papali, first try score, easy money. Good to have the conductor watching there and fully back in action. Okay, guys, here's another one where I sort of changed my mind a bit in the week. I was disappointed in the Blues last week. I didn't lose money on the game. I actually, what did I have? I had total points. I went high at 49.5 points in the Crusaders match. So I won money on the game, but I was pretty disappointed in the Blues. I thought they were, I thought they would push the Crusaders a lot harder, and I was expecting a bit of a drop off from them this week. But then I saw this Chiefs side, and they're missing a lot of players through injuries, and I do think that the Blues should be able to target the Chiefs up front. And I'm joining the boys here on the Blues -5.5. I think that's the business there. Chris, anything else from you?
That's fair enough. That is fair enough. I think what the Chiefs, what's key for the Chiefs, if they're going to win, they're going to have to front up the Blues and the forwards. But I think they need to get Damien McKenzie in the game. I think the more he's in the game, the more have a chance. Him at fullback is not the case, but if he's around and causing havoc, he'll give the Blues a bit of trouble as well. But you guys might be right. I know it's not a popular pick. My pick, it's not my most confident. So if anyone's really need to coin toss in here, take the rest of the guys. Yeah.
Well, either Soccer Jacob or Jacob, who's joined the show, is either a troll or he really is new to betting because he reckons Blues minus and Chiefs plus. So we'll see about that one. If you could find a nice little half there, good luck to you. Mark Talia is back for the Blues, and Johan coming in Blues halftime. Full-time there. Let's move on to.
I'm getting smashed, yeah.
Let's move on to Super Rugby AU though, and I've got the outright odds scrolling at the bottom. Here we've got a contest on our hands because of course a couple of weeks ago the Reds managed to come back and beat the Brumbies 40-38 in Canberra. So we pretty much priced up as a 2-horse race here, 25-20 the pair. The Rebels with an outside chance at 8-1, and Couch, I had to throw the Force in there at 46-1. Have they drifted now to a price where you would consider backing them outright?
It's time to find Granny, Brent.
That's for sure. But tips punting watching on Twitter. Don't worry, we're getting to the big game, the Six Nations, and I can tell you I've got a strong fancy there. I think I might be swimming a little bit against the grain this week on that one. But let's get in, and Couch, I'm going to stay with you. The first game of the weekend, Super Rugby AU, that takes place tomorrow morning, -14.5, the Brumbies against the Western Force.
Yeah, listen, you know how much I love the Western Force, Brent. I'm an absolute fan. I've got all the merchandise, all the gear, poster up against the wall. They're going to get absolutely smashed by the Brumbies. The Brumbies, they're going to be hurting after that Reds loss 2 weeks ago. They're going to want to come out and do the business. I think we saw a few signs of the Maul and their forward play getting back on board with Falinga back as well. So I'm thinking the Brumbies aren't going to throw this ball around, and that's going to keep the Force out of it. They just can't match the Brumbies up front. I think the Reds, took them a little bit lightly last week and didn't do the job that they were supposed to. Obviously, the cap is tough at 14, so I understand the guys being a little bit scared of that. But I'd go unders on Force points or something like that because I just don't like them. But to me, it's going to be my best bet, and that's just involving the lesser handicap in this one and the lesser handicap in the Reds game. And I think the two strong teams, as the same as in the New Zealand Conference or Aotearoa, is that these two are head and shoulders the better teams in the competition. I think they're going to win by double digits. So take 2 single-digit doubles in there, and that should do the business for me.
Excellent. Well, I must say, this game, I looked at it and I see Emil also coming in there and saying Force under 17.5. I gave that serious consideration. I'm a little bit like Chris sometimes. I do enjoy the overs play. What I've gone here is Brumbies over 31.5 in the good for the game preview. But let's bring Chris in and get his views on this one.
Yeah, heavy in the Brumbies camp here as well, and also in Fainga for a try score for sure. I mean, I don't think you can getting good value for him to score a try, but he's definitely getting one tomorrow. But I think getting him in the first half, you can get him. Some of the markets I've seen, I can get him for about 2.70 to score in the first half. I think that might be a better value than going for him outright. And I'm totally on the points. Brumbies over 31, you can take Force under 17, and you're probably home and dry. Not fancying the handicap anyway, even that does probably cover the handicap, of course, but I would prefer to, if you wanted a stronger opinion, I would rather go on I like the Brumbies over 30. I think Force, it's going to be a long day for the Force. Maybe they can get a try or two and cover their points. I don't see them, if it's 17, I don't see them getting over 17, but Brumbies over 31, most confident. Fainga try score first half, that looks pretty good.
Just quickly, Chris, before I move on to Couch again, when you say, what was it, 2 point? Once, what was the price?
2.6. 2.6.
2.6. So is that the equivalent of what we would call 16 to 10? So in other words, you're getting 160% return on your money there. Okay. I'm just checking because that's the way I know the overseas guys used to go with the decimal. Some of the local guys actually drop the one. So in other words, they would call it 1.6 to 1. So I just wanted to clarify there. So about 16 to 10 for the first try score. Couch, anything further for you on that game?
First half.
Yeah, I'd love to have that first half option. I don't have it around here, so there's nothing I can do on, and it's just too short on follow for Inga. So I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go for the Brumbies sub hooker to score the last try. To me, that's the way I'm gonna be able to get involved in the rolling maul. So I am taking Lachlan Lonergan to score the last try at 20-1 or 21.0. So yeah, that's my interest in the son of a punch rolling thunder.
Well, listen, Couch, I've got to tell you one thing now. You are very good with Bet Olymp. You write previews every week on Good for the Game, and you have your own bets, which they give you. So I don't see any reason why you can't go to Bet Olymp next week if you want this bet and say, listen, give us a price on Fainga in the first half. I'm sure they'll oblige.
We'll try and make it happen, Brent.
Excellent. See what you can do. Let's move on to the next game, though. We've got a bigger handicap. Well, another big handicap here. We've got Waratahs plus 15.5. And I'm going to start off with Chris here on this one. Chris, it's a big cap, but hard to have any faith in this Waratahs team.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not getting too much involved in this game at all, to be honest, Brent. 15's too high. I love the red side. I think they're great. But Waratahs probably could be anything. They're not good at all. But I think maybe it's not a game I like. Nothing that I enjoy. Around the points, it's probably going to be potentially low scoring, but Reds can blow them away. I don't actually have a strong feel of where it's going, so I'm probably going to be sticking out of this one.
Right. Well, let's go back up to Couch and get his views on this game.
Yeah, again, that cap is difficult, and that's why I say I'm going to take it. I still see them winning by double digits, and I think I'm even more confident after the slight scare last week. I don't think the Reds are going to take this one lightly. I know everyone's thinking that, geez, the Waratahs have to find something one of these days, and they have to put up a little bit of a fight and show something, but I still don't see them keeping it within 10 points. So, take 8.5 on the Reds there, throw it into the multi with the Brumbies, and you're going to be smiling all the way to the bank, I feel. And then in terms of the exotics, I've only got Alex Murphy to score the last try. Again, substitute hooker, back him to be in the rolling maul as they put the boot in, and then I'm going for the half-time, full-time. I think the Reds are going to be... the ears are going to be ringing off the last week, so it's Reds to lead by 9+ at the break, and then to win by 13+, and you're going to get 0.25 there, Brent.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I must say this is a game that I don't have any particular strong fancy. I'll probably wait for the points lines. If conditions are good in Sydney, then I might be looking at something like a Reds overs play here, but not particularly strong on that. Just bringing the Six Nations outright betting down at the bottom of the screen. We've got Wales now 11-20. They have drifted out. Of course, they had the Grand Slam in their sights last week. France coming back to win the game. Didn't beat the handicap. I must tell you that I managed to pull square on the game because I had France over 26.5 points, but I also had France minus 7.5, and I split the stakes there. So I was a bit fortunate on that one. I'm going to stay with you, Couch, for the Six Nations game. Let's bring up the handicap here. And we've got 15.5, minus 15.5 Scotland here. That is at Bet Olymp. Now, of course, the scenario in this game is quite simple, Couch. France have to score 4 tries. And if they score 4 tries, they must win by 21 or more. I think if they score more than 4 tries, they can win by 20 or more. But that's how, effectively, they've got to target a 21-point victory with 4 tries against Scotland. Now, there was some 17.5 early in the week. I see some 14.5. It seems to have settled at 15.5. What are your thoughts on this one?
Brent, I think if you were writing a script, you couldn't have asked for a better setup. Yeah, I mean, a French team playing at home and having, being forced to throw the ball around. It's just, it's a dream scenario for the neutral. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great to watch. And I think to me, I'm a little bit torn on that handicap because often when a team tries too hard, are forced to play attacking game. They end up buggering, getting in their own ways. But to me, I'll try and get involved in different ways, and I'll have a look at points. I think you definitely got to consider, and even not even going for points, but going for tries. That's the way I see it. I see the guys are going to hunt tries instead of just kicking every time, especially the French. And another way to go could be a first scoring player, France try, because I think they might, not go for poles and try and hunt that try. So I'm expecting a big performance from France, whether they cover the cap, touch and go. But I think the French are going to be up for this one, and they're going to be scoring plenty of points.
Excellent. Well, if Henrik Swart was on the show, I could almost picture him nodding when you talk there, because he often says if you're on unders, you actually want the guys to be going for the tries, because they're going to go for the tries. They're going to camp there for 7 or 8 minutes, and they're maybe not going to score. Whereas if they keep on accumulating those 3 pointers, then the overs actually comes into play. The line looks quite well set there. I'm going to wait for the weather on that one. I see Southpaw on the good for the game for him. He's gone for France, I think, over 32.5 points. I'm not that confident there. I'll save my selection on this one to the end, and let's let at the Crow Tips get his verdict in first.
Yeah, when I first saw the handicap, when I first saw it was at 18, I nearly fell off my chair and had a hernia. I couldn't believe how disrespectful that was straight away. And usually,
were you expecting minus 26?
No, Brent, minus 10. I would have capped it at minus 10 plus 12 if it was round 3 at Murray, when it was meant to be played in round 3, right? At that point in the competition, I think it would have been probably a tight affair, France win, but the whole situation's changed, right? And as Heinz set up, it's set up perfectly. Conditions are different for the game. So sure. So I see. I'm not going to get involved in the handicap yet. My natural thought that's too high. So I wouldn't be betting on the minus. Definitely going to be a lot of points. Wayne Barnes reffing as well. He's going to probably let it go. So that's a big factor. I think France are going to go for it. Like I say, and I do believe, that their defense has improved for sure. But for sure, when they're going to go for it, Scots are a good side now. They're well coached. They're good. They've got danger. They probably get in behind the French as well and get a few tries in themselves. So that's why I think the cap will probably be covered. But I certainly like the overs points. I know what the total over points is now. But I think France are scoring over 30 points, to be quite honest. And I think Scots are scoring about over 20 points themselves. So for me, it's all about overs for me in this game on any team points and total points. But I will leave that handicap alone, because you never know. I kind of actually see, a fast start, but maybe a nervy start, to be honest. And I think it all unravels in the second half. And you've got players like Hugh Jones, who's Scott's best attacking player. I don't think that's why he's starting, because I don't think he's his best defensive player. And Teddy Thomas coming on, I think all hell can break loose in the last 20 minutes, to be honest. So I'm thinking that's my opinion, I see it maybe tighter than we think in the early doors, and it just going crazy towards the end. So that's how I see it, and on the overs, quite confidently.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see what the tactics were. I felt France came out with the wrong tactics last week. I felt their first objective should have been to win the game and improve their points difference and make sure Wales didn't get a bonus point, in which case the scenario would be very similar now, except they'd be chasing a smaller bonus point victory against Scotland, what they are. And I think they came out there looking for tries, and I believe it was an error. I think the same thing. I think they should take their 3 points early, build a bit of a lead against Scotland, and then push on for the win. Guys, let me tell you, I'm very confident on the French here. I mean, you've got to take it from where it comes. I love the French. But I watched them last week. I thought they were very off against the Welsh. I did find out afterwards, I see that their defensive coach only came back the day before after having a personal loss in the family. He'd been away for the England game as well. I'm expecting a much better performance from France on defence. I'm certainly not going to be in the Scotland over 17.5 camp. I'll be looking at the handicap here. If I can get 14.5, I'll be climbing in on the French, and I'll also be taking some 15.5 if that's the best I can get on the French. I think they're going to do the business, and quite frankly, I think they're going to win the Six Nations. I think they're going to win this by 22 points plus. And Couch, I don't know if you've got anything to add on that before we move on to other games, but I'm very, very bullish on the French. I think they're going to tighten up on defence, and ultimately, yes, Scotland are a good side, but you've got to remember one thing. Scotland, of course, they're going to play for pride. They're going to play for the jersey. They're not playing for the Six Nations Championship, and that's the difference at the end of the day, and that's why I'm on the French minus. Couch, anything to add there?
Brent, I think we need to just paint that wall behind you blue, because between the Blues and the French there, it's we know where Brent Graham's money is going to go. But no, I think just while Chris was talking there, I think Hugh Jones as a last try scorer, but maybe if you fancy like Brent, the French, then Hugh Jones is the last try scorer for France. I think that should be a good runner. You know, he's always a lively guy from the bench. He loves getting those tries, so that's a decent play. And then usually, I mean, I try and get involved on the point because he just seems to score at will. So those are the things I'm going to be considering close to the time.
Excellent. Well, Dave Cooney just coming in from Ireland there and just confirming Sean Edwards will be involved the whole way. He's expecting the French defence to pick up. And yes, Dave, so am I, and hope you'll be joining me on the handicap there. Well, gents, let's move on to a bit of Pro 14. Now, it's quite a strange situation because we've got 2 Pro 14 group stages, which I'm not going to focus on unless you guys are particularly interested in anything there. But then, of course, we've got the final on the same weekend. We've got Leinster up against Munster. I didn't check the handicap on this one. I did check in the week. I know there's +7.5 Munster, and I know Joey did mention Munster +6.5 is a cert. So let me start with you then, Chris, on this one. We got a pretty tight handicap. We got 2 great rivals playing against each other here. And I'll tell you straight up, I'm in the Munster camp here as well. I'm with Joey. If I can get 7.5, I'll certainly take it. 6.5 possibly. I love Leinster rugby. I'm a big fan. But I just think all roads are pointing to Munster for this one. They're going to give our man CJ a big send-off there. What do you think?
I'm absolutely agree with this. This is also one of my stronger picks for the weekend as well. Munster Plus also got also about the feeling, about how the teams have been going, the lineups, everything about it. It's a final. It will be tense. Leinster not on the best of form anyway, even though you don't, like I say, it's hard to go against Leinster in any match anyway. But for this game, it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. But I think I'll take 7 points every day for Munster in this game, and it's one of my stronger fancies.
Katch, have you done anything on this one?
Brent, I don't really know enough of the form of the 2 teams, but I'm always, it's tough going against Leinster at home. I don't think it's not a policy that's going to work out for you too often. Usually when I try and go for a handicap of under 7, you feel like the team should have a chance of winning, and I don't see Munster winning away at Leinster. I don't care all this emotion and things like that. They're quality outfit. They'll ring out the result, but yeah, just to be involved with the sentiment and everything that everyone's talking about. Yeah, maybe a +12.5. Alternative handicap on Munster to throw that into a few of the multis for the weekend. So that's probably the way I'm going to go, so that I can just have my Guinness whilst watching old CJ end it off.
Excellent. Well, Dave Cooney coming in saying the value bet Munster 1 to 12 margin. I haven't looked at a price there, Dave, but I imagine we're looking somewhere around the 22 to 10, perhaps even 5 to 2 mark on that one. So one thing I do expect is a tight game and probably points to be at a bit of a premium in this one. But let's move on because we've got the preparation series.
Brent, just it'll probably be a little bit more than that if it's on Munster, because Munster just winning is pretty much 22 to 10, so you can probably get a little bit better than
probably 28 to 10, 3 to 1, maybe even bigger. Yeah, I'll have a look on that now. Before I move on to the preparation series, let me just bring Chris in there. There's a couple of other Pro 14 games taking place this weekend. We will get your thoughts on the Gallagher Premiership. Anything from you there?
No, nothing more on the Pro 14, but just another one. I know the values on the Munster 1 to 12, but if you are worried about Leinster 1 to 12 for me is probably the best play in that game anyway. But I agree. I also like my alternative handicap trebles and doubles like Hines, so could probably be on a high Munster as well with a double somewhere.
Excellent. Well, Dave just confirming there the price is 3 to 1 for the 1 to 12, and yeah, Leinster 1 to 12 you probably get around about the 15 to 10 mark there. Let's move on to the preparation series, and Couch, I'll come straight up to you. I know you love your local football. What jersey is that you're wearing there? Is that the Sharks jersey? Gee, I thought it was the Lions for a second there. I got to shop with the Sharks now. This is an interesting one, Couch. I think the Sharks were slight underdogs early in the week. They have, I see, come into as short as 7 to 10, 15 to 20 in places. You can still get 9 to 10. I think that was at World Sports Betting. Not all the bookies are priced up on this yet. And it certainly is a tournament where you've got to wait until the bitter end if you want things like total points lines and that. The bookies are taking no chances. They price up pretty late on some of the exotic markets. What do you think here? Sharks 9 to 10. I can tell you I've tipped them up in the Good for the Game forum as a solid bet. I like the team the Sharks have selected.
Yeah, it's a very solid bet, Brent. I think the fact that there aren't a lot of bookies out and maybe not so much money involved in this one is the reason that hasn't moved more. I think come tomorrow morning, that would have shifted out a bit at WSP and those guys. The Sharks, they've got Thomas Latoy and Ox back in the pack there, so that's a very good sign. People will be divided on Sia Kulisi, but it's his first game in the jersey, and I think he gels quite well with guys like Noche and so it's good for team spirit and all that. The Bulls have got Mornay back, but a new centre pairing, a new wing, pretty much untested fullback. Marshall van der Merwe hasn't been great since he's been bought at tight head. Lucio isn't the best in the business. it's Sharks all the way for me. I can't. I think the Sharks have targeted this game. They've only won one game in the Prep Cup, or it isn't even a cup. It's just the Prep series, and I think they're going to want to win this. They've selected probably the best team thus far. I think they're over Bulls 1, and they're going to do the business there. 9-10, get on board.
Excellent. Brendan Vessels, the conductor, agreeing with us there. My eyes are deceiving me. Well, aren't deceiving me, I hope. I think that's a shark symbol. And let's go over to you now, Chris. I know you do battle with your overseas. You, of course, are based overseas. So your book, even though you're in South Africa at the moment, your bookmakers are overseas. You're obviously not going to get many markets on these sort of games. But any thoughts you're supporting us,
Yeah, but I totally support you guys. Sharks all the way. You just have to look at the teams on paper. Sharks at home. I don't think you should be looking much. I think Bulls always they're not bad, but Sharks are I comfortably believe they're gonna win this game. But those odds look pretty good. I reckon they will shorten.
Yeah, I think it's going to shorten as well. So if you haven't taken the 9-10 and you're interested, grab it soon, because I do see this starting somewhere around 7-10, perhaps even 13-20. Chris, let's stay with you then. Grick was up against the Pumas. The Pumas, of course, doing the business last week. I must say that the newsletter best bet was going to be the Pumas last week. Unfortunately, I never got to send the newsletter due to ESCOM issues again. So in the end, I didn't send it out because my second best bet would have been France minus, so just as well. But anyway, can they do it against the Griquas here? We've got a 2.5 handicap. I handicapped this game at 6.5. So my gut tells me Griquas, but gee, it's a tough one. Any thoughts from you here?
Yeah, it's a tough one. And I'm the same as you. My first gut was also Griquas, to be honest, even though I know Pumas came off a good win. And I also said Tipton plus 13 was the strongest bet last week as well. I don't know. New game, new day. I just think Griquas at home will maybe ride some momentum. I don't think they've made a lot of changes of what I understand. So I think they will ride some momentum back home into Kimberley, and it'll be, again, tight one, but I'll give them the edge. If you wanted me to call the handicap, but I don't know. They might beat that handicap, but I think they're going to win the game.
Excellent. You can probably get about 7-10 Griquas to win the game. Let's go up to Couch. Couchy, what do you think? If I can pick up from punters on the Good for the Game forum and on chatting on WhatsApp and that, the sentiment appears to be with the Pumas here. I'm leaning Griquas.
Yeah, it's a tough one, Brent. I think, you don't know what to take from that Griquas performance against the Elephants. I mean, that was an absolute shocker. I don't think you can take anything out of that. Pumas had a good result, but I don't know, nothing stands out for me. The Pumas have shown some decent performances. Griquas have shown a little bit here and there. There's nothing. I don't think there's value to be had in this one. I'm not going to be throwing darts.
Yeah, I must say, I'll tell you where the value might come in here. And this is an afternoon kickoff in Kimberley. We'll obviously have a look at the weather. We'll have guys phoning the local Kimberley Spur to find out what the weather's like. And if the weather's good, this could well be a point. It could be a close game, but it could be a high scoring. This could well be 35-33 to one of the teams. It could really be a high scoring game. But let's wait and see what the weather does before we get too carried away. Moving on, though, to the Stormers up against the Lions. Couch. Here we got Stormers minus 3.5. Lots of money for the Stormers. And this opened there for the really boys who were quick on the draw. There were some 9-10 Stormers available to win the game. It very quickly moved out to about the 3.5 level, where it seems to have settled now. I did the Good for the Game preview just in the last hour or so. I've settled on the Stormers as well. I think they're going to be a bit too strong for this Lions side. I think certainly up front they might get the better of them. What are your views on this one?
Brent, I think last week I was pining back to those shirt buying days when the Lions and the Sharks got going. It was like touch rugby being played out there. So that was, it was quite interesting. And obviously nothing beat that prop try from the halfway line by Mchunu for the Sharks. So this is, it's a little bit of an open affair. You can't take the same kind of form lines and the same kind of ideas you had on teams in the Currie Cup. It's a completely different mindset, and I think the Stormers showed it last week. They put in a hell of a performance. I think we all thought the Bulls would sit in that one quite easily and get the job done without breaking a sweat. And if Augustus just held the ball, it would have been game over. So it's not as easy to just predict something from that. I mean, especially against the Lions team, if they get a run on, they can put you away in a couple of minutes, as we saw in the Kings there in 5 minutes or 4 minutes. Probably they scored 3 tries or 4 tries and put the game to bed. So they are a little bit of a dangerous team to oppose, but I do think the Stormers have got some confidence. I've actually just spoken in the previous show. I thought they've actually had the most continuity of all the teams in terms of their selection. They haven't given as many
different guys a chance. They've stuck pretty much. Voliter has been at 10, and they've had a bit of a nucleus there that they've kept together. So I think the Stormers are battle hardened, and the Lions again this week have made plenty of changes. So I think the Stormers are probably the way to go. Cap gets a little bit tough. It goes out anything more than that, I'd like 2.5 probably, but I'll still say Stormers should cover that.
Yeah, interesting you mentioned that Augustus drop ball. I mean, I was patting myself on the back in that game because I was in trouble on the Bulls, and then I took 2-1, I think, the Bulls -4 at halftime. And of course, it looked like coming in, and then in the end, I thought I'd lost, and I was turning the TV off and throwing my phone, only to see that for once, I was happy to see the TMO sort of intervene. And it's funny how things like that can kickstart your weekend. Until that stage, I was treading water. After that, I sort of exploded into action and had one of my better weekends in some time. But let's see what Chris thinks about this one. Chris, 3.5, is this a game you're getting involved in?
I haven't got involved in yet because I hadn't seen the line yet, to be honest. And I like the -3.5. I think I agree with Hein again there. I think I've seen the Lions team, and I've seen they've made changes, so I like that as a Stormers backer. I haven't seen the Stormers team. I don't know if anyone else or you guys have. If they are going to stay quite consistent with their team selections, then I'm actually very confident on the Stormers. I think they would cover this handicap if the Lions have made those changes. I know it's very hard to read these games because it looks like tackle practice is out the window these days. So it is really hard to gauge. But I think Stormers they'll come back from Loftus pretty confident. Stable selection against the changed Lions. They want to try some more things, then they can go ahead and try some things. And I'm sure Stormers will put some tries over them as well. And I think Stormers will win. I'm quite confident on them, and quite confident on the handicap.
Yeah, I also like the Stormers. I must say the Lions were good to me last week. Over 26.5 Lions points. In retrospect, it was an absolute gift from the bookmakers, and certainly enjoyed that one. Let's stay with you though, Chris. Here's a big handicap for you. Cheetahs -50.5. When I handicapped this game, I went 42.5. But honestly, you're guessing when you handicap these games. You really are.
Yeah, and 50 is huge. It's been a long time since I've seen 50, but it's probably deserved, to be honest. I think it's going to probably be a very long day for the Elephants. I think also afternoon game in Bloem, if the weather's good, I've checked there isn't rain around at the moment. Good luck, Elephants, to be honest. I haven't decided what I'm going to do on it, but if I had to, I'll be going on the minus, which is something I've probably never done in my life. But I think it'll be a long day for the Elephants. But at the moment, I'm not getting involved.
Kachi, we'll go to you there on that one. Just before I go to you, though, let's just bring up the conductor. He's going points, and he says tries will rain in Bloem. I tend to agree with him there. You've got to expect lots of points, but at the same time, I think the Kings can get a few tries, and whether they be consolation tries or whatever. And because of that, I'm actually leaning towards the plus here. But there's no ways I'm backing the Kings with anything like a big bet. I mean, I wouldn't, even if you said to me, Brent, here's the money, I'll fund the bet. I probably still wouldn't do it. But I do think that based on the 50.5 handicap, gun to my head, I would back the plus 50.5.
You probably have to, Brent. I mean, that's just out of principle for us. But as Chris said there, it's afternoon game in Bloem Jeepers. It's if we thought that first half Sharks and Lions was touch rugby and shadow tackling there, then I don't know what's going to happen in this one. It could be crazy. And as you say, probably the thing there is the one little opportunity you could have is that everyone's looking at that handicap and thus probably not giving the Elephants too many points there. So I mean, they definitely are going to score a couple of tries themselves. Probably get 3. I mean, they obviously got 0 against Griquas, but that was in a horrid torrential rain game, and I mean that was just. I think you can write that one off. Not saying the Elephants are any great shakes, but I think they'll get a couple of tries there. And Ini Radebe back at 10. So yeah, it's. But at the same token, it could be 75, 10 or something like that, and they'll still cover the cap. So. No, it's probably have a look at that. Maybe over 1.5 tries on the Elephants or something like that. I don't know if they're going to give that to us, but have a look at that line on the Elephants, and that's probably the way to go. Otherwise, check it in running and then get on one of the teams. If either the Elephants get a quick try and then take the minus or something like that. But no, I'm not going to get overly involved. Probably involved in any way in this one. It's just you can only lose money. Yeah.
I'll probably still have a hangover from France winning the Six Nations 36 hours before on the Friday night, so not too sure how involved I'll be getting there as well. But just we talk about big handicap. I'll never forget Hendrik backing the Bulls minus 77.5 or 75.5 in running in that opening weekend, and it actually arrived. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in this one. But, Couch, can I assume you haven't really looked at anything on the Premiership?
Yeah, nothing.
So what we'll do is we'll quickly get Chris to run through, and then we'll come back for the best bet. So, Chris, what I'm going to do on the Premiership, I'm just going to go through game by game. You give me your thoughts. If you don't like anything, then obviously we move on. Gloucester up against Exeter. I know there's been big movement here. There was Exeter were favourites. They've named a weakened team, and now you've got Gloucester minus 3.5.
That game's been unreal, right? It started at Exeter minus 10. And actually, I think what might have been actually Brady early in the week pointed out that Exeter might do some wholesale changes, and I fell asleep on that one. I've actually been ill this week, so I wasn't paying attention to that, and it came true, and it swapped right around. Actually, I can see on some of my bookmakers it's at 7 now. So ridiculous game. But if you had got Gloucester plus 10, you're laughing right all the way to the bank. But at 7, I'm not a bit. I like Gloucester, but I'm not that confident on them. I wouldn't be confident on that 3 or 7 either, to be honest. So, but I'm not touching that game.
Okay, let's move on to the
Too many
Bristol
changes
Bears
there
and
for me.
Harlequins. Yeah, we've got the Bristol Bears minus 4.5.
Yeah, this is going to be a close one. 2 of the top teams in the Premiership, so it's going to be a close one, and I think a close one for the home team. Handicap too close to call, so I'm not going to touch the handicap. Haven't put anything on it, but a close one for Bristol.
Right, London Irish up against Bath. London Irish are the underdogs at home, plus 3.5 against Bath.
This was also one of my first standout games. It was minus 2 Bath, and still one of my strongest picks of the weekend, actually. I know Reece Prieston's got injured now, so we're not sure what's going to happen with the team sheets, but I'm still confident that Bath are going to put the Irish away. I think they're going to be far too powerful, and minus 2 seems like a gift, and I'm still pretty confident on that.
But another underdog at home, the Worcester Warriors, they're plus 5.5 against the Northampton Saints.
2 teams I won't go in. Yeah, thank you very much. Next.
Right, move right along. The Wasps up against Sale Sharks. I said Wasps, so I think were one of the big disappointments for me last week. I was overs on their points. I know the guys who got minus 1.5 arrived. They won by 2 in the end, but they let me down. I'll think twice, but I know you were a fan of Wasps, and they burnt you a couple of times. Yeah. Plus 1.5 here at home to Sale Sharks. Yeah.
And on that regard, I'm stepping out. Thank you very much. I'm not doing any more torture of that. It's just also a game as well. I don't like Sale as well, and I think this is almost a pick'em game. I don't usually bet on Sale games either, and I'm not going to touch Wasps against Sale either this weekend.
Well, I must tell you, last week, one of the big swings for me, I followed some advice early in the week, and I took minus 14.5 Exeter against Leicester. Now, they won by 16 in the end. I collected my bet, but they played against Leicester, had 14 men for most of the match. And Exeter let them right back into the point that they were only 9 points ahead with a few minutes to go. And in the end, Exeter scored a converted try and thankfully delivered on the handicap. But a pretty impressive performance with 14 men by Leicester. And I see they minus 8.5 points in the final game against Newcastle.
Yeah, and I haven't bet on it yet because I obviously with these games still like to wait for team sheets to come out and so on and closer weather reports. But I quite like I like Leicester to go really well. I think they can cover that handicap. But I'll punt that later, and then the weekend if it gets closer to the game, if it's still true on that feeling. But I think Leicester are going to go well against Newcastle this weekend. They've shown form that they've looked like they're about to break out, and I think this is their chance.
Right, that's their Premiership. We ran through that one nice and quickly. I didn't want Couchy to fall asleep on the couch there, so we can get to the best bets. Just to mention, if you haven't subscribed to our weekly betting email with best bets, just go down below the video on YouTube or Facebook, and you can hit the link just to sign up there. And also, we got the link to the Good for the Game betting forum thread because there's punts all over the weekend, and we got the likes of Chiefy who likes to get quite emotional with the refs, and that I always enjoy him on the weekend as well. So yeah, we'll have a look at that. I'm actually going to stay with you, Chris, and just get you to summarize your best bets for us. Yeah,
so I'm going to go with the Canes and the Highlanders on that, either team under 7. Brumbies over 30 points market, and I like the Stormers. Those are my 3 big best plays for the picks for the weekend.
Right, I'll just get a local price quickly on that under 7. I'll pop in. I know Sunbet's always got this market 5 to 4. You can get either team wins by 7 or less, including the draw. So it is a I must say it is a nice play, and one in these New Zealand derbies I quite like as well. Let's go to Couch though. Couchy, your best bets, please.
Brent, I'll probably have to have my red there. Yeah, I'm going for a double in the Aussie games. There, it's Brumbies -7.5 onto Reds -8.5 at 8-10. To me, that's the one that I really fancy, and then Sharks to do the business locally. Those are the two I'm backing big time.
Excellent. Well, Brady coming in with some bet in the Guineas Pro 14. I'll come back to you now there, Chris. Dragons on the board. Must win with all the international backs versus a team that does not pay anything and still without Scottish international. So Dragons, well, I don't see Jules watching the show. I have been corresponding with him a bit on Twitter now and then, so he'll be happy that you're tipping his Dragons team. But let's get Chris, you wanted to have another word?
Yeah, there was also another one on the chats. I saw earlier, I think it came from Henrik actually, was a France and Stormers double, which was, I think, I can't do fractions here, but it was 1.80, I think it was. So I think I quite like that double as well, and Heinz double as well. Definitely, I'll be following that Heinz. They've been good to me, or Heinz doubles.
Yeah, Heinz. I mean, I say
not his brandies, these tips. Yeah, not his brandies, but his tips. Yeah.
That's it. Well, just I guess to wrap up with my bets. Look, I'll obviously be having a good look at all what the boys thought on the show for the newsletter. But let me put it out there and tell you, if you're looking for a bit of play at above even money, then take the 14-10 France to win the Six Nations. They're going to do it in spectacular fashion. They're probably going to win it in the last minute. And I'm certainly do like the French handicap there. If you can get -14.5, then tuck into that. Just a quick weather update there in Sydney, that there was quite a lot of rain, but we should have some clear sky. But that will be probably my best bet for the weekend. I also do like the Hurricanes plus quite a lot against the Highlanders. I just look at that Hurricane side and I say, surely they've got to deliver. But anyway, boys, thanks very much, Chris. Good having you on the show. Thanks for making a plan. Pleased you recovered from your sickness, and you look good. You're actually not a bad looking chap with a shave.
Thanks. Thanks, Drew.
Excellent. And Couch, you're not I can't lie, but we won't talk about your look. But thanks a lot for coming on the show as usual, and look forward to seeing some of your exotics that you take with Bet Olam coming in. Just a quick mention, you've also previewed the F1 on the Good for the Game site, and the NRL. I mean, I know you're getting a lot of support, and we're getting a lot of hits on your NRL previews.
Yeah, Brent, I was just going to say we had a great start to the weekend on the NRL in the first game there. We went unders and it absolutely cruised in, and then everyone, it's if you find some time between the rugby, it's the first F1 race of the season, so it should be good fun. It often papers out after this if you see who's the favorite, and it gets a bit boring, but the first one should be pretty exciting.
Excellent. Well, that brings us to the end of a cracking show. We fitted quite a lot of rugby into the 48 minutes. It was great having the guests on. Thanks, as usual, to all the boys in the live chat. We'll see you next week, Thursday, for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.